Right. I do believe that that is us live with the second Humanities virtual session. So welcome everybody and thank you for joining us. And I hope that we will be able to assist you with getting some idea of how a humanities program may or may not work. So I'm Jessica. I am the coordinator of undergraduate affairs for the Faculty of Humanities, which basically means that I am the head of our student engagement unit. I have colleagues who work in things like recruitment, orientation, our faculty psychologists, that kind of thing. We also have assisting us today my colleague Ian Raisdick, who is a lecturer in the film and media department, and he will hopefully be assisting along with Debbie Shooter, who is our deputy faculty manager, to answer some of the questions that you might want to put into the question and answer box on your screen. But something I want to say up front, a lot of the questions we got from the first session today, I will answer in the short presentation I'm about to give you. So I can suggest first that you hold on a little bit for your questions and you you wait to see if I answer that question already before putting that into the chat box. Okay, so what I'm doing today is to try and give you a sense of the overall structures of our degree programs, which have to be extremely confusing for you. This is a very large faculty with a very large number of different programs and degrees of study and subjects that we offer, and coming to it from the outside can be really, really confusing. So I want to start by saying there are two main ways of doing humanities study at UCT. The one is what we call a structured program, which gives you a fairly detailed and inflexible list of courses that you have to do in order to finish, to graduate with this particular program. So it sets out the required choices. There's required courses. There are some choices of electives that you can make. It's built around specializations. And into this category forms for most of our performing creative arts degrees, or something like our professional Bachelor of Social Work. So those are actually the smaller group of programs, or the smaller group of students in the faculty. The larger group of students in our faculty go through the general degree programs, which is the second way of doing study in humanities. So these are much more flexible. This is your general Bachelor of Arts or your general Bachelor of Social Science. They're extremely flexible. You have a lot of choice. Okay, so the general degrees, as I say, most students do this. Lots of choice. They work around a little formula. You have to pass a certain number of courses in order to get the degree. And these programs are built around the majors. That is the specific subject that you take through to third year level, and that forms a sort of backbone of your degree with the electives around it. Okay, so examples of our structured programs: the Performing Creative Arts programs, Bachelor of Arts in Fine Art, Bachelor of Arts in Theatre and Performance, Diploma in Theatre and Performance, music degrees and diplomas. Those are the Performing Creative Arts ones. We also have the kind of structured program that happens mostly on upper campus. That would be your Bachelor of Social Work, your Bachelor of Arts in Film and Media Production, or the Bachelor of Social Science in Politics, Philosophy and Economics. So when you apply, you're applying to go into one or more of these programs, and they all have different entry requirements. The general BA or BSOC Sci, we put you into the BA or BSOC Sci based solely on your matric points. Some majors within the Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Social Science have additional entrance requirements. So, for example, if you want to do psychology or economics, you need to meet the maths requirement. But the thing to remember about applying is that we accept you for the degree not necessarily for the major. Once you're in the Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Social Science, whether you can then go on to do a major in psychology or English or law, whatever you want to do, depends on additional entry requirements. But you are in the degree, and everything beyond that is negotiable. So performing creative arts, we're looking at matric points and your audition or your portfolio requirement. If you're interested in the production degree within film and media, that you don't apply for at all. We put you into that in your second year at UCT. So for now, you would be applying for a general Bachelor of Arts, majoring in film or media, and depending on your performance in your first year and the portfolio you submit in your second year, we might move you into that degree in your second year of study. Something like the Bachelor of Social Science in Philosophy, Politics and Economics has a higher matric point than the general Bachelor of Social Science, and you need mathematics at school. Bachelor of Social Work, no additional entrance requirements, and it's one of the ways of doing psychology where you don't have to do the maths requirement that is normally set on psychology. Okay, so the thing about these two different kinds of degrees is that if you're sitting there in this enormous audience that I can't see, which is very frustrating for a teacher, if you're one of the students who's interested in a structured degree, the Performing Creative Arts, or a Bachelor of Social Work, or the PPE, or something like that, there's not that much information that we actually need to give you, because those degrees are structured. You arrive in your first year and we give you a list of the courses you have to do, and if there are electives that you can choose between, there's a small menu of choices, and you can look at the course descriptions and decide which of those options within the degree sounds more interesting, but most of your courses are set. If you're in the Bachelor of Social Work or the PPE, for example, in your first year, you don't get a choice. There are 6 or 8 courses you must do, and that's what you're doing. But the upshot of all of this is that the amount that I have to say today is going to spend more time on the general degrees than it is on the structured programs, simply because the general degrees have, if you think of that first slide, the thing that they have far more choice. You're making far more choices in the general degrees. The structured programs, you have the reassurance and the security that someone's designed your program for you, but you have the drawback that you have slightly less choice. General degrees, all that exciting choice, but slightly more terrifyingly more decisions to make. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about those options. I'm also going to remove the cat from my camera. Sorry about that. So the general degrees could be the Bachelor of Arts or the Bachelor of Social Science. And we have extended versions of these degrees, which are open, which you don't apply for. But if you apply for a general Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Social Science, your matric points are slightly lower than we would normally accept at, but we think you have good potential. We may offer you a place in the extended version of the degree, same qualification, just takes 1 year extra, a couple of extra courses, slightly lower workload. The other thing to remember about the general degrees is that the Bachelor of Arts and the Bachelor of Social Science are the same degree. They have the same rules, the same structure, the same number of courses overall. They're at the same level. The thing that makes the difference between them is your majors. If you have arts majors or social science majors, it gives you the flavor of the degree. So that division, arts are things like English, French, history, languages, media, film. Social sciences are your standard psychology, sociology, gender studies, politics, whatever. We also, in the humanities faculty, offer a bunch of non-humanities majors, which is where you will get the possibility of doing something like law or organizational psychology or maths or biology or whatever as part of the humanities degree. If you have 2 arts majors, you have a BA. If you have 2 soc-sci majors, you have a B-soc-sci. If you have 1 of each, you get to choose. Completely different, completely the same degree. No, and students swap between them all the time. As your idea of what your majors are going to be changes, you can move between the BA and the B-soc-sci. Okay, so we have a lot of subjects. All of our languages, European languages, African languages, Arabic, Chinese, things like music you can do within a general degree if you really want to. English literature, theatre and dance, you can do a theoretical drama major within the general degree. You can do social sciences, African studies, anthropology, religious studies, that sort of thing. And then all of these degrees, all of these majors that we recognize from the law faculty, the science faculty, the commerce faculty. Science gives us maths, stats, archaeology, environmental science. You can do informatics or organizational psychology from commerce, or you can do law from the law faculty. The thing to remember is that you must have one humanities major out of your 2 minimum. So you can't do 2 majors outside humanities. One of your majors must be a social science or an arts major. Okay, we also, and I'm going to cover this very quickly, offer a certain number of the more technical science majors. These are things like biology, physics, computer science. These have additional entrance requirements and additional co-requisites. That is, first-year courses you must do in addition to the courses that you do in this major. So you cannot do the first year of biochemistry without doing, in addition to your 2 biochemistry courses, a whole year of chemistry, a semester of maths, and a semester of stats. These additional science majors are bigger. You will probably have to do more courses in your degree overall. They have much higher entrance requirements, and almost all of them require you to do pure mathematics, which requires you to have mathematics at matric at 70% or higher. Okay. So the extended degree programs I covered briefly. They are a way of accessing our programs if your matric points are not quite high enough to make our normal admission threshold, but if you seem to be a student with potential, you're just below it, and if you're coming from a background where you might have had an education that was disadvantaged by the old apartheid divisions in terms of how schooling is structured. So the extended degrees give you an additional year, additional foundation courses, and a lower course load. You emerge with exactly the same qualification. Okay, so I have covered all of that. The BA, BSOC are the same degree. Don't panic about which one you've asked for. If you apply for the BA, we offer you a BA and you decide you want to do social science subjects, you just do social science subjects when you register, and we change your degree to the BSOC side. Okay. You don't apply for the extended version of the degree, but we may place you in that version if your NSC points are a bit lower. And please don't panic about how to choose your subjects. We train you about this in orientation to a great extent. All right, so we have a lot of curriculum advisors in the faculty who are academics who are trained in our structures. We put you through orientation training. We do not know at this stage whether orientation next year will be in person or remote or a mix, but one way or another, we will get the information to you. You see advisors before registration, you see advisors at registration, and you can see advisors throughout the year. So although our degree programs look horrifying when you're outside them and haven't been trained in them, we do train you and we do help you to get your head around how it all fits together. Okay, you also have a certain amount of space to change. You can always change your mind about the courses that you're doing more easily in the general degrees than in the structured programs. You can change your majors all the time in first year, seriously, like changing your underwear in first year. You should be doing a lot of changing. You should be trying things out and finding out what works. If the course that you were doing, you didn't like that much, and you decide you don't want to major in it, it'll still count as an elective, it'll still count towards your degree. Okay, so really in the general degrees, arrive with a vague sense of what you want to do and what you find interesting, and start worrying about what you're actually going to major in the start of your second year when you decide which of your whole range of first year subjects you're actually going to take to senior level and to third year level in order to major. It's also to a certain extent possible to move between programs. So if we accept you for example, the BA in Fine Art, and you decide, actually, no, you don't want to do the BA in Fine Art, you want to do a general BA instead, it may be possible to change you over, subject to entrance requirements, subject to space. Some changes are easy. If we accepted you from the PPE, you can automatically move into the general degree if you decide that economics is just evil and you don't want to do it. If you're accepted for the general degree and you decide you want to do the Bachelor of Social Work, the convener of the Bachelor of Social Work will almost always move you into the BSW if that seems to be what you want to do. Some changes are more difficult. If you want to move into a performing creative arts degree out of a BA, you still need to meet the requirements for a portfolio or audition, whatever that particular creative discipline requires. And if you are in the performing creative arts degree and you want to move into a general degree, sometimes performing creative arts accept at lower matric points than the general degree does because your portfolio or audition is as important. So you might get slightly lower points, but you have a really good audition. If that's the case, we sometimes cannot move you into the general degree, but we will always look at it and see what we can do. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about entrance requirements for specific majors, because that tends to be the question that is most commonly asked. So by and large, most of our majors don't have additional entrance requirements. If you arrive in your first year of a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Social Science and you want to pick up sociology or religious studies or French or something like that, there are courses you can go straight into. There are no additional entrance requirements. There's actually only a handful of courses in humanities which require additional entrance requirements, primarily psychology. And the other ones that you will need to meet additional requirements are those offered by other faculties. So the big ones are economics, psychology, law, and the technical science subjects. Okay, so economics, you need mathematics at matric. You need mathematics at NS5, that's 60% or higher. We do not accept maths literacy for entry to economics. So if you really, really want to do economics and you only have maths literacy at matric, you can actually do catch-up maths courses in your first year in humanities, and you can start your economics in your second year. If you're in the extended 4-year program, this doesn't really make much difference. If you're in the 3-year program, this means that you will take an extra year to finish your degree. You will spread out the 20 courses you need for your degree over 4 years instead of 3, so that you can start economics, the 3-year major, in your second year. Okay. If you have mathematics at 60% or higher at matric, you can start economics in your first year. The other one that requires mathematics is psychology. This only requires a pass, 50% or higher. And the nice thing about psychology is if you don't have mathematics NSC 4, which is 50% or higher, you can still start psychology in your first year, but you need to do the maths courses at the same time as your first year psychology. So economics will take you the extra year. You must do the maths courses first. If you pass them, you're allowed to start economics next year. If you are trying to do psychology and you don't have the maths, you start your psych in the first year and you do the maths at the same time. So it doesn't take you an extra year. Science subjects, you will have to do the mathematics, often at 70 rather than 60. And you will have to make the entry requirements not just for your main subject, things like biology or physics or whatever, but for the mathematics you have to do in the same year at the same time. So those technical science subjects are tricky. Some of them are not. Archaeology doesn't have entrance requirements. Environmental geographical science, you don't need maths, you need life sciences or geography at matric. So there's different rules depending on which subject it is that you want to do. The big one is law. I probably get more questions about law than I do about anything else. The law major is a complicated thing. You start it only in your second year of study if you're in the 3-year version of the general degree, or in your 3rd year of study if you're in the 4-year version of the general degree. Law is a 2-year major. You don't do law courses in your first year or in your first 2 years if you're in an extended degree. Okay. If you make the requirements for law, which is a 65% average on a full course load in your first year if you're in the 3-year degree, or your first 2 years if you're in the 4-year degree, you are allowed to start law in your 2nd or 3rd year. Okay. What the law major does is to take the courses that are usually taught in the first year of the postgraduate LLB, the Bachelor of Laws, moves them into undergrad, makes them into a major. You take up half your undergrad degree with them, and then you do your postgraduate LLB, which is the degree that allows you to actually practice as a lawyer in 2 years instead of 3. So the undergraduate law major knocks 1 year off your postgraduate LLB. Okay. It's a very intense major. I tend to suggest don't do it unless you have a deep, desperate desire to be a lawyer. It's not something you do casually. Okay. So it allows the completion of the postgrad LLB in 2 years instead of 3. It's very demanding. Don't do the law major, as I say, unless you have a great deal of willpower and don't mind not having much of a social life for 2 years. Okay. Economics major is also demanding. Ecos 1010F is the highest fail rate of any first year course taken by humanities students, and I tend to advise students not to look at economics unless they have a deep and abiding love affair with maths, because unlike economics at matric, which is very unlike economics at university, economics at university, at UCT particularly, is absolutely jam-packed with stats. It's a highly mathematical discipline. If you don't love your maths and stats deeply, economics is going to be very unkind to you. So think seriously about what you want. If what you want is a nice corporate job, look at organizational psychology. It won't give you nearly as much maths. Okay, so the PPE, I think you probably know about if you want to do it. It's politics, philosophy, and economics. It's very easy to move out of the PPE into the general degree. I'm going to unshare my thing, and I'm going to have, that's all I particularly wanted to say. I think what we should now look at is questions. Okay. So I'm going to take them from the top, and I hope I get through all of them. Somebody asks, can I take non-humanities courses even if I have no wish to major in it? Yes, within certain rules. You can certainly do random bit of biology if you want to. Maths or stats always open to you. You can't do the law major courses unless you're doing the major. And any non-humanities course that you take, you need to make the entrance requirement to the course. So the entrance requirements to majors are set on the courses themselves. Taken as electives, you still need to meet those requirements. Okay. Accepted for social work. So the question is, I got provisionally accepted for social work. If my September marks are not great, will I get rejected, or will you wait for my MSc results for final acceptance? We, as far as I know, will wait to see your final marks. We will not turn you down finally until your final results are out. If you already meet the requirements, for example, the psychology major, are you immediately accepted into that major? Yes. The advisors check your requirements at registration. You put down the courses you want to do, and one of the things your curriculum advisor will do at registration is check to see that you meet them. They have access to your matric results. If it says matric maths, they'll just sign you into psychology. No questions asked, no problem. Okay. I would like to ask if I'm taking economics plus computer science. I don't exactly understand how exactly I'm supposed to attend the computer science. So these are all what we call upper campus courses. The upper campus at UCT is the sort of iconic UCT image where it's up on the side of the hill. Up there we have the faculties of science, humanities, engineering, what have I missed out? Commerce. Those four faculties all teach on upper campus, and we have lectures all over upper campus. So you attend your lectures according to your timetable. One of the things that we will check when you register is your timetable, whether or not the courses that you've chosen to do actually work together, because we have only 8 hours in the day and an awful lot of courses. So if you want to do 2 courses that are in the same timetable slot in the same year, we'll tell you that you can't. I don't think economics and computer science do clash, because economics is a very large course and teaches a lot of times during the day. So you are happily able to attend those 2 lectures usually. Okay. Is it a must to include other courses such as sociology if I do not want to take them? You choose your courses for yourself. You choose the ones that interest you and that fit into your timetable. You have to take electives. You can't just do the courses that you're majoring in, because you have a minimum number of courses that you have to do for the degree as a whole, and the major on average will only take about 6 out of those, and the degree requires 20. So you will do your 6 psychology courses and your 6 English courses, which is 12, and then your other 8 will be electives. And you don't have to do psychosociology elective if you don't want to take them. You can do electives and other things that do interest you. But you are not just doing your majors. You're doing a very broad range of courses. This is the advantage of these degrees. This is the value of a general Bachelor of Arts, general Bachelor of Social Science. So the performing creative arts degrees, the structured programs are very focused. They set out to qualify you to do a specific thing, to become a social worker, to become an actor. And that's one strength. The strength of the general degrees is different. The strength of the general degrees is breadth. We are not qualifying you to do only one thing. We are giving you an enormously broad selection of skills and of exposures to different ways of thinking, different ways of understanding the world, knowledge about different aspects of culture and society. So the thing to remember about a general degree, if you're worrying about, I don't want to do anything other than my majors, nothing is wasted. Everything will give you skills and insights. Everything will make you into a more broadly skilled and flexible person who can adapt to the workplace of whatever career it is that you choose to follow. So it's very important that you bear in mind that breadth is one of our strengths. Someone in the other presentation earlier asked what the advantage of a humanities UCT degree is over other universities, and this is one of the advantages. We have so many departments, we have so many different subjects, so many different things, different skills, different insights, different ways of seeing the world. Enormously valuable and really to be embraced. Try things out. You have the luxury in a humanities general degree of doing things just because they sound cool, because you've always wanted to do a bit of art history. That's actually completely what these degrees are about. Okay. Debbie has been answering the, does UCT offer public relations? Not in humanities. It offers marketing in commerce, and you can do a couple of marketing courses in humanities if you really want to. But it's not something that you can specifically pursue through a humanities degree. Can you take the LLB law option if you have musical studies as a general course, but you want to major in law? I would think that the law-music combination would be very difficult to do because they're both quite demanding majors, and the music timetable is all over the show. I suspect that particular combination may be difficult because of the music timetable, but if you could make it work, there's no technical reason why you couldn't actually do that. Okay. What are the first-year subjects for international relations? We don't offer international relations as a major. We offer a political studies major, that's politics and governance, which has within it, at second and third year level, courses that you can choose. So it's got a lot of second year and a lot of third year courses. You have to do 2 second year and 2 third year out of a possible 7 or 8. Out of those 7 or 8, there are usually at least 2 international relations subjects. So if you want to do international relations, you're looking at the politics and governance major, and you would do the straight up first year politics first semester and second semester courses in your first year of study. Okay, but international relations, we're never going to give you a major labeled international relations. We do not offer that anymore. Okay. For the extended program, the minimum results needed to get into the program. The thing to understand about the way that we offer places to our programs. We count up your total number of matric points, which is your 6 top marks, not including life orientation. We rank you from top to bottom, and we offer down the list until we run out of places. So the 380 minimum that is in the prospectus is the absolutely bare minimum below which we will not offer regardless of how few people are in our year. We never go down there. Okay. In the last few years, the place at which we have stopped offering for the general mainstream degree is around 420, 430 points. And if you are just below that, if you're between 400 and 420, you are likely to be offered a place in the extended general degree. But the thing to bear in mind is that's a very, very rough kind of estimate, because it changes every year. It depends how many students apply and how the matric results are sitting in that particular year, and we can't tell until we've got all the results, basically, which in this year will only be January because COVID. Okay. So, question is, do you have to take 2 majors from first year, or do you take 1 from first year and add the second from second year? Your first year is either 6 or 8 courses, depending on whether you are in the mainstream or the extended version of the degree. In those 6 or 8 courses, you can have the courses that are the first year requirements for anything between 2 and 8 majors. Okay. Your first year is very broad, a lot of different courses. Most majors only have 1 or 2 courses at each year of level, at each level of year. So most students do the first year courses for at least 2 majors in their first year and decide in their second year what they're going to carry on with. If you want to do the major that you're talking about, you say you would like to major in law and English. English you will start in first year. Law is an unusual major in that it only starts in second year. It's the only one that does that. Okay, so in that particular case, yes, you do your English in first year and you start your law in second year, but in your first year, you would also be doing the first year courses for a whole bunch of other possible majors, and you could choose or not to continue with them in second year. Okay, through the humanities major, would I be able to study occupational therapy? Alas, no. Occupational therapy is a health sciences program, and you would need to apply for it completely separately. It's its own degree. There is nothing in a humanities degree that looks anything like occupational therapy. Occupational therapists do a little bit of psychology. So your first year of psychology might be something to do if you want to try and move on to occupational therapy in a subsequent year. And something like speech language pathology uses linguistics. But other than that, no, there is no overlap with humanities courses. Students studying the Bachelor of Social Work, do they have to major in anything? What are their options? Social work has almost all set courses, 4 years of mostly social work courses. In your first year, you do the first year of both psychology and sociology. And from your second year, you decide whether or not to continue with the sociology or the psychology as a kind of an elective thread within your social work courses. Okay, so that's the only. You have a specialization in either sociology or psychology within your Bachelor of Social Work, which is otherwise absolutely full of social work courses. Okay. If you want to major in law, are there separate requirements? Yes, I did go through those. If you want to major in law, you need to meet the requirements of a 65% average on a full course load in your first year of study if you're in the 3-year version of the degree, or in your first 2 years of study if you're in the 4-year version of the degree. So law is a strange one. It doesn't have requirements like anything else because it doesn't start in first year, it only starts in second year. Can I do human rights within humanities? Oh, you can do politics, which has some touches on human rights issues. You can do social development, which touches on human rights issues. We don't have it as a separate discipline. You need to work out what kind of human rights interested you and find out which of our subjects are the ones that would most assist you with that particular study. Question, can you do more than 2 majors? You can, yes. Rough maths for this, approximately 20 courses for the degree overall. Each major, approximately 6 courses. You could technically fit 3 majors in there, 6 by 3 is 18, and a couple of electives. Some of the majors are bigger, economics, psychology, law, or all have more than 6 courses. Yeah. Is social work a subject course or a major in humanities? It's really confusing. I understand how confusing this is. It's It's a very large faculty with a huge number of different ways of studying, and it looks really bewildering when you're out there. And once we've trained you in it, I promise it will look less bewildering. Social work is both. There are two ways of studying social work at UCT. You can do the Bachelor of Social Work, which is a 4-year professional training degree. And it has a whole bunch of social development courses in it offered by the Department of Social Development, which is the social work sort of home department. If you do the Bachelor of Social Work, you do both theoretical social work courses, which are very close to, they have something in common with both sociology and psychology, and you will do practical counseling courses and practical social work, kind of structure of social work profession courses. If you are in the general Bachelor of Social Science, you could actually do a major in social development, which covers some of the theoretical courses that the Bachelor of Social Work students do. So it's really up to you whether you want to do the full-on professional focused training course that qualifies you as a social worker, or if you want to study social development as a theoretical, abstract, non-practical course, in which case you can do it as a major within the general Bachelor of Social Science. Okay, if I want to do biology, what are the entrance requirements for NSC, maths, physical science, or life science? I actually offhand can't remember. I shall look it up. Okay, so you need life sciences with at least 60% to get into first year bio. And then you need mathematics with at least 70% and physical science with at least 60% to get into the first year. Chemistry you have to do as part of biology. And then you need 70% in maths in order to get into the maths and stats that you have to do as part of first year biology. So those technical science majors are quite intense. Okay. How demanding are the language-specific courses? Okay, so there are two ways of going into language study in Faculty of Humanities at UCT. If you did matric in a particular language, if you have matric French or matric Xhosa or matric Afrikaans, then you go straight into the second year level courses at UCT. So our 1000 level, our first year courses in our languages are designed, with very few exceptions, for people who have never spoken or studied the language before. If you never studied French at school and you'd like to study French, you arrive at UCT and you do first year French. By the end of first year French, you are at the same level as students who have done matric French, and you all go into second year French together in your second year of study. We used to call the first year language courses language intensive courses because they are intensive. You are basically getting to a basic level of the language in a single year. So they are quite demanding. You are going to probably 4 or 5 lectures a week, including your conversation classes and things like that. But they are done very successfully by students all the time. It's totally not impossible. Somebody asks how demanding it would be to take linguistics and archaeology. Those are two fairly reasonable majors. They both have technical aspects, but they're not particularly large. And I would not say that that is an impossible combination at all. That seems very fair. Okay, human physiology or evolution and ecology as majors I've actually just covered under biology because the requirements are the same. You need physical sciences at 60 or 70, you need maths at 70, and you need life sciences at 60. And that will get you into the constellation of bio, maths, and chemistry courses that you need to do in your first year at the same time. And you will actually start your human physiology at second year. Okay, Ian is answering a lot of these very usefully. Thank you, Ian. Is the Bachelor of Social Science General a demanding course? It's a very broad philosophical question. It depends on the majors you choose. Some of those majors are extremely demanding. You are going to be working very hard if you're trying to keep up with economics or law, in most cases. You might be one of those people who is just naturally mathematical and you find economics a complete breeze. So, you know, that's also a possibility. The thing about the General Bachelor of Social Science or General Bachelor of Arts is that you make it as demanding as you want it to be. Any humanities course will require you to do a lot of reading. It will require you to write essays. It will require you to get to grips with academic language, with structuring an argument, with reading theoretical papers, etc. But we train you how to do it. So yes, it will be demanding. It's the whole point of an education. We are stretching your brain. It shouldn't be impossibly demanding, is really what I'm saying here. Okay. Yes, Ian has answered about English and classical studies. Hooray. Psychology, maths, Mark, what do you need in order to qualify for psychology? It's actually not as demanding as science or commerce. You only need a 50% at mathematics at matric. Okay. Somebody says, let's talk theatre and performance at UCT. I will talk theatre and performance at UCT in very general terms, since that seems to be what you would like. Okay, so again, rather like social work, there are two ways of doing this. We have the Bachelor of Arts in Theatre and Dance Performance, which is a 4-year professional training degree that is taught largely on the Hidding campus in town and has a large practical component. Within that, you can specialize in acting or directing or theatre making or dance. Okay, I am also not a specialist in this, so my other advice to you would be go and back up what I'm saying by reading their website and find someone actually in theatre and performance at UCT to talk to about this. But that's within the dedicated professional training theatre and dance performance degree at UCT, you are doing a combination of theoretical courses that talk about theories of drama, theories of dance, whatever, and your practical performance courses. Okay. It's quite demanding. It has a large practical component from first year onwards. It has been an absolute beast to try and deal with under COVID conditions when we are teaching everything remotely. And all of those poor little theatre and dance performance students are having to catch up their actual physical stuff in the last few months of the year once lockdown has raised a little bit. You can also, if you want to, do a major in drama effectively through the general BA or BSOC side. That doesn't have a practical component. That's the history and theory of theatre. And the students who are in the theatre and performance degree will do those same theoretical courses in addition to their practical studio work courses. Okay. Major in clinical psychology. So I did actually answer this in the previous thing. When would I be able to major in clinical psychology? And Ian's just answered it. Thank you, Ian. So you can't major in clinical psychology in undergrad. You can do clinical courses within your psychology major, and then you actually do the clinical psych specialization at honours and master's level, which is quite competitive at UCT. You're not likely to get into those courses unless you have a first-class average generally. Okay, student wants to study film production. What are the majors and the requirements? Ian, would you like to take over and just answer this question because my voice is going?
Am I audible?
Just wait for Olga to switch you over so you're live rather than me being live. There you go.
Okay, so to answer the question about film production and the majors and the requirements, in first year there's no special prerequisite. You just need to take the 2 courses in media and film. You actually don't have to take both. If you are convinced that you want to do film production from the beginning, you don't need the media course. But we normally recommend that students do both film and media, as it's the courses are complementary and they do open up a range of other majors within the department. And then halfway through your second year, you apply for the screen production program. And at that point, we will look at a portfolio of your work. We also look at your marks, and then we select the cohort that will become the film production group for that year. We take 24 students, or up to 24 students, in the screen production program, and then for the remaining 18 months of your degree, you will be in the film media production program, and the only real difference is that you will have one of your courses per semester will be a production course. So you'll still be taking film and media courses, and you'll still be in the same film courses with your friends, but you'll have one production course per semester. So the weighting of the degree is the same. It ends up being the same number of courses as a normal double major, but it just has a specialization in screen production.
Thank you, Ian.
And yeah, can I maybe add to that that it's not about requirements per se. The idea in the first year is that you have a choice to do a wide range of subjects, and we're looking for people to get as much stimulation and interest out of their first year as possible. So there's no ideal elective that goes along with film and media in first year. You know, you could be doing sociology or English or language or history. It's really a case of doing something that enriches your own experience at the university. So there's no specific courses that are co-requisites for film and media.
Thank you, Ian. That has saved my voice slightly. Can you swap me back, Olga? And I will move on to the next question, which is, applied for BSOC with the plan of taking psychology but did maths lit. That's fine. You do psychology in your first year, and you do 2 maths numeracy courses to catch you up to the level of maths that you require at the same time as you do your psychology in first year. So you can always do psychology. The only thing that might be a problem is if you don't have the maths, you might also have to do 2 maths courses. I have to say they are fairly easy maths courses. They're not intense. What they do is to give you the basic stats grounding that you will need when you hit the research psych courses in second year and third year, which are research methods courses full of statistics. Okay. Somebody asks what languages are offered in the general BSOC Sci. We have a whole bunch of them. So European languages, French, German, Spanish, Hebrew, Italian, Portuguese. We also have Arabic, Afrikaans, African languages. The African languages major is Xhosa mainly. There is some Sotho, it's not yet a major. And there's Chinese, Mandarin Chinese. Okay. Someone asks where you find criminology, and Yusuf has usefully answered it to say it's housed in the law faculty. There is one undergraduate criminology course that you can do as part of an undergraduate humanities general degree. It's called Crime and Deviance in South African Cities. But criminology at UCT is a postgraduate study. And you don't have to come to it with a law degree. You can come to it with a whole bunch of different degrees. I had a friend who did a philosophy degree and then went and did criminology in postgrad. So there's a master's or honors in criminology, which you can put onto a general social science undergrad. It doesn't require specific courses in undergrad, and it's taught within the law faculty, but it's not technically a law discipline. Okay. English linguistics, recommended combinations of majors. Are there any recommended combinations of majors? Some majors speak to each other better than others. There are some very common double majors, psychology and organizational psychology. A language and linguistics is a common double major. General social sciencey things, politics and gender studies, politics and sociology, sociology and gender studies. Those are all courses which have disciplinary ideas in common and will interact with each other interestingly. But the short answer is the only thing that prevents you from doing particular combinations of majors is if there's no humanities major among them, or if the courses are in the same timetable slot, they clash, you can't do them together, or if you don't, or if you don't meet the entrance requirements. So doing majors that seem to be close together and speak closely to each other is one way of getting a very coherent, focused major. Doing completely different majors that do totally different things is another way to broaden your mind beautifully. So it really doesn't matter. It's up to you what sort of focus, how focused you want to be in this. Someone asks how demanding are the double writing in media and film television majors? Not They're normal standard majors for the faculty. They're the same size as most majors. They have this fairly standard amount of reading, writing, etc. Okay. If your maths mark is below 60, you cannot be accepted for the PPE. Correct. Someone asks, if their maths mark is below 60, can they be accepted for the PPE? No, you cannot. You will be accepted for the general degree, where you could study politics and philosophy in your first year. You could also do the maths courses that catch you up to the level you need for economics, and you could start your economics in your second year. If you do well in your politics, philosophy, and economics in your first 2 years, it's possible to move into the PPE thereafter. Somebody asks whether there's maths literacy for psychology. Psychology requires you to have mathematics. Maths literacy doesn't give you the stats you need. However, if you did the national benchmark test and your quantitative numeracy aspect of the national benchmark test was a high mark, I think it's 70 or higher, they will let you in without having to do the extra maths. If you only have maths lit and you don't make that high NBT quantitative literacy mark, then you will have to do 2 maths courses concurrently with your psychology in first year. Somebody asks, what's the difference between BSOC-SCI specializing in economics and economics in PPE? Absolutely none, exactly the same courses. You're doing the same courses in economics, whether you're doing the general Bachelor of Social Science or the PPE Bachelor of Social Science. You can, in the PPE, choose at second and third year level to take slightly fewer economics courses, but the ones you do are the same courses taken by the students in the major in the general degree. Do you have to go straight to second year for French if you did it in matric, or can you start from the beginning? You may not do the first year French courses if you have passed matric French in the last 3 years before you start at UCT. It would be cheating, basically. No, you may not do it as a first year dead easy, I know this already. And that is cheating. We do not allow you to do that. Okay. I've answered the maths lit psychology one. Please talk about the music degree. Very frustrated music potential BMUS student there who's getting very tired of all of this general degree stuff. So the Bachelor of Music is one qualification with about, oh God, I've lost count, about 8 or 10 different specializations within it. And you can specialize in your Western classical music or jazz or African music, and within those you can specialize in performance or musicology or anything like that. So they are, once again, rather like the fine art degree or the theatre and performance degree, they are focused professional training programs. You have comparatively little choice within them. You are mostly doing standard courses in theory of music, history of music, your oral, your instrument specific, and then you have some electives where you can specialize in world music or music technology or something like that. Generally speaking, if you are interested in the music degrees, I would suggest that you email the music department and ask to speak to someone there, because they are fairly specialized and fairly technical knowledge is required to know what's going on there. I work mostly with the general degrees, so yeah. Olga, are we out of time here? Yusuf, I'm looking at it being 5 to 7.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so we haven't got to all the questions. And I'm sorry, that's because there are obviously a lot of you who are very interested in humanities at UCT. Conversely, from our point of view, that's good. It's lovely to have a lot of you who are interested in humanities study at UCT. We will be putting together over the next few months quite detailed orientation websites that we may have to use if we have to run orientation remotely, and will be existing anyway even if we are able to run orientation in person. So there will be a lot of information that you can access. You can access things like the faculty handbook on the UCT website. And I will usually put up some of the orientation material on the orientation page towards the end of the year. So we will try and make available to you information that will answer a lot of these questions. But the most important thing that I have to say is please don't worry about this. If you are feeling lost and confused by the size of the faculty and the number of options and the complexities of trying to choose courses within it, don't panic. That's completely natural now. You don't have yet the information that you need in order to navigate our degree structures, and we will spend a lot of time and giving you a lot of information to try and bring you up to speed with this, to make sure that when you register next year at the start of your first semester at UCT, that you make informed choices, that you know what the structures are, and that you can choose your courses from a basis of knowledge rather than where you are now, which is probably feeling rather lost. So my advice to you is don't worry about it. Go forth and do spectacularly well in your matrics. Thank you for applying for humanities, thinking of humanities, being interested in our courses. We would very much like to welcome you here next year. And I wish you all the best in your matric in terms of making the points that you need in order to make that possible. Thank you all for your time.
Jessica, Olga has said that there's still time to answer a few questions if you so wish.
Okay, let me do that until everybody gets bored and leaves or whatever, or my voice goes completely, because I've been talking for an hour now and it's starting to go a little bit. Somebody asks if the maths you have to do at the same time as psychology in first year is as difficult as high school pure mathematics. No, I don't think it is. I tend to think of it as little tiny baby maths courses. Seriously, they're just giving you the numeracy skills that you need in order to handle the research psych. Those courses are called quantitative literacy and for social sciences and quantitative literacy for humanities. They are not intense maths courses. They really are not going to kick you back too badly, I promise. Okay. Somebody asks if I did Mandarin in UNISA, must I still take it in UCT? No, of course not. If you're transferring from another university and you've done courses there and you don't want to carry on with them at UCT, you don't have to. Just bear in mind, though, that if you're starting all new majors, a major usually takes 3 years. So even though you've done a year at UNISA, you will probably still have to do the 3 years at UCT in order to get in that new major. If you did Mandarin in UNISA but you don't want to carry on with it at UCT, you can always transfer those credits as electives so that there's one less that you have to do for your degree overall, but you can always start new majors if you want to. Okay. Okay, major in English literature, what kind of literature content is studied? You know, I haven't taught in English for about 3-4 years and I've completely lost track. They usually do a fairly broad sweep of literature, from everything from the sort of standard Shakespeare, romantic poets, etc., all the way through to contemporary. And there's usually a strong strand of African literature of one sort or another, post-colonial takes on classic texts, even when it's not African. So, you know, post-colonial readings of The Tempest, which is probably possibly considerably more fun than it might sound like to you just from here. Okay, but it's a very broad range. Dig around on the UCT website, go to the English literature, the English language and literature department's page, and just look at their course content. You'll get a sense of it from there. Okay, but a lot of it is contemporary, and a lot of it moves into visual as well as written stuff. We deal in the English department in analyzing texts. Texts can be very broad, not just books. Okay, how many subjects can a student take excluding the 2 majors? We limit you to 4 courses per semester maximum, or 3 courses if you're in the extended degree. And a major is on average 6 courses, and your degree is 20, 2 majors of 12. So you can do 2 majors for 12 and then 8 electives if you really want to. We will never stop you from taking more than the minimum. There's nothing to stop you from graduating after 4 years with 26 courses and 4 majors, if that's really what you want to do. The minimum is 20 courses, 2 majors. And really the rest is up to how much you can fit in and how much you can afford to pay for, because you pay by the course. Okay. Can I do a BSocSci specializing economics with O-level ZimSec mathematics? Alas, no. O-level mathematics is not enough for economics or psychology. If you only have O-level mathematics, you will need to do maths makeup courses in your first year at UCT, and you will only be able to start economics in your second year. Okay. Not a question, but I would just like to thank you for the way you interact with us. Thank you very much for that. I feel as though I'm not interacting with you. I feel as though I'm talking to a screen, which is horrible. Remote teaching is awful for anybody who really likes teaching, but I am pleased that it is something that you find useful. If you choose a general Bachelor of Social Science, can you move to a PPE in second year if you are leaning in towards those subjects? The first year of a PPE in terms of courses is absolutely identical to the courses you would take if you were in the first year of a general Bachelor of Social Science, majoring in politics, philosophy, and economics. Absolutely no change. If you take those 3 majors, you do those 8 courses, and you're in the general BSocSci, and you decide at the end of that that you would like to move into the PPE, then I will give you the email address of the convener of the PPE program and ask you, and he will look at your results, and if you're doing well in it and he thinks you'll do well in his wonderful elite PPE program, he will move you in. So it is entirely possible to move. But the main thing that stops people from going straight into the PPE when they really want to is the maths. And if you don't have the maths, you will need to do the maths in first year, and you can only start your economics in the second year. And the convener of the PPE program will not move you into that program until he has seen how you do in the economics specifically. So if you don't have the maths, you will be moving into the PPE not in your second year, but in your third year. And you will probably be looking at a 4-year degree because of that late start to the economics. Okay. Will I qualify for an LLB degree if I do maths, lit, and no other science? All right, LLB is, if you're looking at a humanities degree now, then you're thinking about LLB as a postgraduate law degree. Okay. The entry requirement to an LLB degree in postgrad is that you must have a degree. That can be a BA, a BSocSci, a BCom, or a BSc, a Bachelor of Science. It doesn't matter what subjects you do in undergrad if you're planning on postgrad law. You just need the degree and you need the good average. That's all they look at. There are no requirements for actual subjects in terms of undergrad in law. There are no requirements in terms of actual subjects if you want to do the law major as part of the humanities general degree. You are simply doing your best to get a 65% average on the courses that you have chosen. And if you make that, you do law as your major and a humanities major as your other major. It doesn't matter what the other major is. It doesn't matter what your matric was. It doesn't matter what your first year courses were. So law doesn't really tie itself seriously to specific subjects. It ties itself to a load. You must be doing a full course load, and it ties itself to results. Okay, so don't panic about the postgrad LLB in terms of what subject should I do in undergrad. It doesn't matter. What we tend to say to people is, if you want to do the law degree as a postgrad degree, try and do an undergrad that moves you towards the kind of law you might see yourself specializing in. So quite a lot of people do politics. There's a strong trend of students doing environmental science in undergrad because they want to do environmental law in postgrad. But other than that, it really doesn't matter what subjects you're taking. Okay. All right, if I am accepted for a Bachelor of Social Science, am I able to study history as a major? Yes, of course. You can mix social science and arts courses cheerfully, promiscuously, if you like, in your undergraduate degree. As I say, if you have an arts major and a social science major, you get to choose whether you want a BA or a BSocSci. It really doesn't matter. You must have a BSocSci. If you have 2 social science majors, you must have a BA. If you have 2 arts majors, if you have one of each, it really doesn't matter. So you can totally do a Bachelor of Social Science with history as a major, as long as your other major is a social science major. So you could do history and sociology as a double major. No problem at all. All right, so someone says, what can my first year subject be? Anything you can get into that fits into your timetable and doesn't break our load rules, basically. We are not going to give you curriculum advice about your first year now as an applicant. We just don't have enough advisors to do it. We are going to spend a lot of time in orientation training you how the degree structure works so that you have a basis for choosing your own first-year subjects before you register. We cannot tell you now what those first-year subjects are going to be because you're going to change your mind when you've gone through orientation and you've heard what all the different departments have to say about their majors and their subjects and all the rest of it. Okay. So don't, as I say, it goes back to my earlier comments, don't panic about it now. This is very strange and very new. This is a very big, very complicated university. We will give you the training that you need so that you can make these choices in an informed way. Okay. And I'm thinking we're kind of at the end of the question thing, which is amazing. So given that my voice is starting to go, I think I'm going to call it there. Thank you for your interesting questions and for your interest in humanities. Thank you, Ian and the other moderators, for your input. This has been very helpful. And as I say, good luck for Matric for the rest of you, and I hope we will see you at UCT next year, bouncing around humanities, having a wonderful time. Thank you all.